Welcome students of Thakur Vidya Mandir High School and Junior College. Chapter 9 Control and Coordination. So today let us start with part 4 of the chapter. In my previous lecture of chapter 9 Control and Coordination, we have been studying about the basic part of this chapter, that is about the neuron. We have studied about impulse, and also we have studied about the generation of the impulse. So in today's chapter we will be starting with the human nervous system. We will be also dealing with central nervous system, and we will be studying about the human brain. Let us study about the human nervous system. Human nervous system. The nervous system in humans is well developed and it is complex. So it is broadly classified into three parts, that is CNS, PNS and ANS. CNS, it stands for central nervous system, PNS stands for peripheral nervous system, and ANS stands for autonomous nervous system. So the human nervous system, it is well developed and complex, and it is classified into three parts: CNS, PNS and ANS. The central nervous system, that is CNS. The brain and spinal cord are the parts of central nervous system which lie along the mid-dorsal axis. So what are the parts of central nervous system? The brain and the spinal cord. Brain is enclosed within the brain box, that is also called as cranium of the skull, whereas the spinal cord, it occupies the vertebral canal of the vertebral column. So inner to these bony coverings are three protective membranes called meninges, so that protect the brain and spinal cord. So the main parts of central nervous system is brain and spinal cord. Brain is protected in the brain box, that is called the cranium of the skull, and the spinal cord, it occupies the vertebral column, and this inner to this are the bony coverings which are protected by meninges. So this actually central nervous system, it is connected to the brain, hence it is very important nervous system of the body which actually control the entire functioning of the body. The central nervous system, it also consists of the dura mater, arachnoid matter. So what it is? Dura mater, it is the outermost tough, non-vascular, thick and fibrous meninx and is attached to the inner side of the cranium. So the dura mater, it is tough, non-vascular, it is thick and fibrous, and it is attached to inside of the cranium where actually the brain is situated. It is separated from the underlying arachnoid matter by subdural space which is filled with a serous fluid. So it is separated by arachnoid matter with the fluid which is serous fluid. So what is arachnoid matter? It is the middle, thin and non-vascular layer of connective tissue having web-like appearance. So it is separated from the pia mater below by a narrow subarachnoid space which is filled with CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. It is the innermost delicate highly vascular membrane which lies in close contact with the CNS. CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, actually this fluid is very important in the functioning of the central nervous system. Now CSF is present in brain as well as in the spinal cord, as the name suggests, cerebrospinal fluid. So CSF, it helps in the functioning, in the accurate functioning of the central nervous system. Now it is a fluid which is actually released by pia mater. So it is a lymph-like extracellular fluid and it is secreted by choroid plexus of pia mater. Now the CSF, it is secreted by the pia mater, and where it is secreted? In the lining the ventricles of the brain and central canal of spinal cord. Now medulla oblongata. Now medulla oblongata is the organ which connects the brain and the spinal cord. It is just present behind your neck, behind your neck there's a small organ that is called medulla oblongata, near to cerebellum. So actually this medulla oblongata, it helps in connecting the brain and the spinal cord. So there's a three openings in the roof of medulla oblongata. And what is this opening for? Actually this opening, it helps in draining out the CSF from brain to the outside. So this actually medulla oblongata, it drains the CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, from brain to the outside, that is it passes to the spinal cord. Now the meninges and the CSF, it acts as a shock absorber. As I told you that CSF, it has a lot function to play. So one of the most important function is that it is acting as a shock absorber, and it protects the brain and spinal cord from mechanical injuries. It also maintains constant pressure inside the cranium. So the pressure is maintained inside the cranium, the brain and the spinal cord, and it is protected from mechanical injuries as well. Now with this, the function of shock absorber, it also plays another vital functions, like it helps in the exchange of nutrients and waste between blood and brain tissue. It also helps in the supply of oxygen to the brain. It protects the brain from desiccation, that is dehydration. And CSF is alkaline, and it's like total of 100 to 120 cc of CSF is present in and around the CNS. So central nervous system, the main you can say helper of central nervous system is the cerebrospinal fluid, which is actually protecting the brain and the spinal cord, which is released from pia mater. And the medulla oblongata, it helps in draining out the CSF from brain to outside the brain, and it also helps in the exchange of nutrients and waste between blood and brain tissue. The human brain. The human brain. Now study of all aspects of the brain is called encephalology. As we all know that every study, it has a name. So a study of all aspect of the brain is called encephalology. Now the brain, it can be divided into three main parts. You have to pay attention on this part. So the three parts are the forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So the brain, it can be divided into three main parts: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Now we'll start with the forebrain. Forebrain, it consists of olfactory lobes, cerebrum and diencephalon. So what are the parts of forebrain? It consists of olfactory lobes, cerebrum and diencephalon. Olfactory lobes, now these are highly reduced in human brain and covered by cerebrum from all sides except ventral. So each lobe, it consists of a olfactory peduncle and olfactory bulb. Now actually olfactory lobe, it is almost covered by the cerebrum. So let us study. Cerebrum, it is the largest part of the brain. Cerebrum, it is the most important part of your brain. It makes about 85% of the total brain, that is cerebrum. It consists of 85% of your total brain. It is divided into right and left cerebral hemispheres by means of deep median long fissure. So the two hemispheres internally, they are connected to each other by a thick band of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. So here forebrain, it consists of three main parts. The forebrain, it consists of olfactory lobes, cerebrum and diencephalon. So among these three, the most important part of forebrain is cerebrum, which consists of 85% of the total brain. Total brain, if I am talking about forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. So 85% of the total brain, and it is divided into left and right cerebral hemispheres by means of deep median and long fissure. And these two hemispheres, they are internally they are connected by corpus callosum. So corpus callosum is dividing the two, actually it is connecting the two hemispheres internally. Okay, so this is all about cerebrum. So when talking about cerebrum, the outer surface of the cerebrum, it is called cerebral cortex, while the deep inner part is called cerebral medulla. So cerebrum outer surface is called cerebral cortex, and deep inner part, that is the inner surface, inner part is called as cerebral medulla. The cerebral cortex has outer thin region composed of gray matter and the inner medulla it is composed of white matter. So here the surface of each cerebral hemisphere is greatly folded by many convolutions or gyri and grooves called sulci. So this greatly they increase the total surface area for accommodation of the vast number of nerve cells. So actually the nerve cells which are all connected to your brain, so this give a large area, the surface area, and it is given by the cerebral hemispheres which are folded by convolutions or gyri and grooves which are called as sulci. So you can see the grooves on the brain and convolutions. So actually this give a surface for the accommodation of vast number of the nerve cells, while for the cerebrum the outer surface is called cerebral cortex and the inner part is called cerebral medulla. So here's the diagrammatic representation of cerebrum. As we all know that cerebrum it consists of 85% of the total brain. So obviously it has n number of lobes which we will be studying. And also first I was talking about the sulci and gyri. So the foldings which you can see in the entire part of the cerebrum, the foldings, and next is the grooves which you can see inside the foldings, that is sulci. So actually this gyri and sulci, these are the main part actually which gives a total surface area for n number of millions of neurons to accommodate on the cerebrum. So here we can see these are the main functions of the gyri and sulcus. Talking about the lobe, frontal lobe, parietal, occipital and temporal, these are actually differentiated, bifurcated by different bulbs and fissure. So here actually there is Selvian fissure and post central gyrus. Actually what it does, it is actually separating the frontal lobe, parietal lobe and temporal lobe, and the occipital. Here the three lobes actually, the temporal lobe, frontal lobe and the post central. So actually this actually parietal lobes, so this lobe are actually separated by Sylvian fissure. The each lobe has different function to play which we will be dealing on. So here actually just remember the part of the cerebrum. You have to just focus on what is gyri, what is sulcus, what are the different lobes and the name as well, like frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and temporal lobe. And also about Sylvian fissure which actually divides the temporal lobe, frontal lobe and parietal lobe. That's all. So the cerebrum, it consists of sulci and gyri. So each cerebral hemispheres is further divided into four main lobes by three deep sulci. They are central sulcus which demarcates frontal lobe from the parietal lobe, parieto-occipital sulcus which separates the parietal from the occipital lobe, the lateral or Sylvian sulcus which demarcates the temporal lobe from the frontal and parietal lobes. Since these three sulci are not complete, the lobes are not clearly demarcated from each other, and fifth median lobe is called insula or insular cortex which is folded deep within the lateral sulcus. So the grey matter of cerebral cortex mainly consists of cell bodies of billions of neurons along with non-medullated fibers and dendrons. The white matter, it consists of axons and myelinated nerves. The human brain. So here actually how the human brain is divided and what are its different types. So the brain, it is divided into three main parts: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Forebrain is called proencephalon, midbrain is called mesencephalon, hindbrain is called rhomboencephalon. So these are the other names of the forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So today we have studied about forebrain. So forebrain actually it consists of olfactory lobes, cerebrum and diencephalon. Here the olfactory lobes is a part of the forebrain which is also called as renencephalon. Cerebrum is divided into incompletely into two cerebral hemispheres. We have studied that cerebrum is divided into two, left and right hemispheres, which is internally connected by corpus callosum. So the cerebrum, it is called telencephalon. And next comes the diencephalon, which is actually divided into three parts, that is epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. So these are the parts of the forebrain. The forebrain, it consists of three parts: olfactory lobes, cerebrum, diencephalon. Diencephalon, it consists of epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. Next is the midbrain, which is mesencephalon, and hindbrain, which we will be dealing in the next lecture. So here we will see how actually it is divided, and this part, the next important part, that is cerebellum, it comes under hindbrain. So we are all going to deal with all the parts of the midbrain and hindbrain in my next lecture. So students, I hope you all must have understood the central nervous system and the human brain, actually how it is interconnected, the central nervous system and the human brain. In the human brain, we have studied about the forebrain, especially about the cerebrum. So I just want you all to go through this part of the chapter and do the assignment. Thank you.